At 6'5", 220 pounds, Titus Graden isn't just your average linebacker tight end combo. He's going to be a senior at Northwestern High School next year and has spent his time during the pandemic visiting campuses and getting looks from some big name Division I universities. But it was not always smooth sailing for Titus growing up. His story in this edition of For the Love of the Game. Titus Graden might look like your typical outside linebacker. He likes to knock people down.
I've had a lot of people tell me, including myself, thinking the same thing, that he's one of the most violent football players we've ever seen. He has no regard for his own body.
From the early days of playing junior varsity in middle school,
and I was one of the biggest kids out there, so I was on the line. It's on me, Noah.
To now, a soon-to-be senior at Northwestern High School, getting some pretty good college looks.
Well, I try to stay humble, so I don't try to say I'm that good, but it was really exciting when colleges started showing interest like that. Do slant.
Titus's story, however, wasn't one where the road was ever easy.
So I grew up in a harsh environment with a lot of drug abuse. I started falling behind in grades at a young age.
For some kids, sports are an activity. For Titus, they were an escape.
Football is just really fun. It really got my mind off of things.
Titus's father, Chad, was serving in the Army at the time, deployed in Afghanistan.
I remember when I came back, he was in 3rd grade, and it was a point where he missed so much school that if he missed one more day of school, they were going to hold him back.
Everything changed when Chad returned home.
I was able to get moved in with my father, and everything just went up from there.
At 9 years old, Titus and his father were reunited for good, which was the game change that Titus needed.
Learning each other as a full-time father-son relationship instead of, coming home for leave or once in a while,
And from there, Titus got really good at football.
I've had to push him a lot of things for a lot of different things, but definitely not football. He's definitely pushed himself for it.
That's good.
So good, he's getting a few looks from some schools you've probably heard of. Iowa, Western Illinois, North Dakota, just to name a few.
It shows that I've gone through a lot, and
looking ahead to the future.
It's my piece of armor, so.
Instead of focusing on the past.
I want to get into the best school possible for me and what I can do best at their school with my position and my athletic ability, and I'm just excited. So.
Titus has had 7 visits and looks from Division I schools so far. He hasn't quite made his decision. After weeks of speculating about the return of baseball, today we got something a little more concrete. The MLB owners have reportedly approved a proposed plan to bring back the season. The Players Association will still have to give their final approval. According to a report from ESPN, here is the plan. MLB will start an 82-game season in July. They'll require clubs to share 50% of their revenue with the Players Association. The plan keeps the traditional 6 divisions in 2 separate leagues, but teams will also play more interleague games against regional rivalries. For example, the Twins and Brewers will play more games against each other, a lot more, normally scheduled to cut down on travel. The playoff format will also expand from 10 teams to 14. That's going to do it for sports this evening. We'll be right back after the break.